Hi, I'm Dakota, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Pentax KX DSLR. It is 12 megapixels, I believe, and this is my primary camera that I shoot with. I've shot with every other camera out there, and so far this has definitely been my favorite. I got it in white, and it ships from Japan. They have all sorts of colors. Now, originally they only had blue, black, red, and white. Now they have green and orange and all these other colors. The lens that it originally came with was just your default 18 to 55 millimeter, but I ended up getting lime coke on this camera accidentally, and it still works. The lens does not, but that's okay. I ended up purchasing a 28 to 70 millimeter lens, which I just popped right on there and it works perfectly, so no harm done. This is I would say entry-level DSLR because it's very friendly to people who do not know how to use any of the features, but if you do know how to use the features, it definitely works out very nicely. And it's just basic, like on-off button is up here. Turn it on. Usually there's an LED light, but when I damaged my camera that no longer worked. You have your main screen, you have all your apertures and your f-stops and your battery level. One thing that I do have to tell you about this camera is that if you do not upgrade your software, which I actually have never done, I've heard about this though, sometimes even if your battery is full, it will say you have no battery. I run into this problem all the time. The best way to go around it is to simply turn off your camera and turn it back on. It will more than likely work. You have all the default settings, auto, you have landscape, you have macro and sport and night scene, no flash, manual, like all of those things that you get on pretty much any camera. It does have a viewfinder. It also has live view, which you can activate by pressing LV right here. However, I have noticed that when you press LV, live view, it drains your battery almost instantaneously. And unfortunately, although this camera does record in high-def video, which you can record right there, you will maybe get 5 minutes until it says that your battery is depleted. So I definitely recommend getting a camcorder if you can, if you want to use video. Otherwise, for pictures and everything, this camera is phenomenal. It has autofocus and manual focus that you can adjust right here. And mine's a little rough because I've beaten up on it a little bit. But one of my favorite parts about this camera are the features that it has. And it has all the defaults, like the settings and everything. But you can post, edit pretty much anything that you want. So, like earlier today, I took pictures of duct tape at Michael's, which you can kind of see, kind of not. What you do is you press the down arrow, and then you have all these different settings. If you go to digital filter, this is the one that I primarily use. Pretty much it's as if you're shooting with an automatic filter already on your camera. You can do this before you take the picture, or you can do it post-work. It doesn't matter. You go to digital filter, and you have all these different settings, and my favorite is definitely toy camera because it changes, it adds kind of like a lomography effect, and it gives you some vignetting, and it's very nice. There's also retro. You have contrast, you have color extraction where you can extract yellow, reds, blues, everything like that. Watercolor, which that's just if you want something artsy. There's pastels, same idea. Miniature, I don't exactly know what it does. It doesn't really change all that much. You can do high def resolution, but it's not my favorite. It doesn't look very accurate. And then there's fisheye, which doesn't really make it fisheye or anything. Starburst, soft, color, which you can add other reds, blues, greens, teal, and everything. Monochrome, make it black and white, which is really nice. Or you could just do custom, which is when you can choose all the ones that you want. The thread on the main lens, this one right here, is 52 millimeters, which is really convenient. That's a nice size for any filters like the UV filters, everything like that. The thread on this lens, which I ended up getting off eBay, is 58, so you have to just get a downsizing ring if that's what you want to do. A lot of the times I use a fisheye lens, which I also got on eBay probably about 3 years ago. And the nice thing about this lens is it has your 10-point macro part as well as the fisheye itself. So without it, it looks really distorted, but when you put it together, it's really nice fisheye, like so. The camera, you get kind of an automatic vignetting when you use the fisheye lens, but I absolutely adore it because it adds that much more of an effect, and it goes on quite nicely. You can still turn this, autofocus still works even though the lens is a little heavy, and it's very nice. So just basic maneuvering with this camera. It functions really nicely, and especially if you are a new entry-level photographer, if that's what you call yourself, I don't know what you want to address yourself as, but autofocus makes it really nice, obviously. The auto feature makes it really nice because it kind of teaches you automatically what apertures are, what all these f-stops are, and what you can do with everything, which is extremely nice. Some of the more detailed aspects about this camera are the highest f-stop that it can go to is, I believe, 36. Right now it can only go to 22, but if I have it on a higher exposure, it can definitely go up to 36. The maximum shutter speed is 1/6000th of a second, which is fantastic. I love it. It comes in great use, and there's no complaining. There's also your typical white balance where you can manually do whatever you want to do with it, or you can just change it into the presets that it has. Very convenient. Let's see what else. You can have a hot shoe flash up here at the top if you take out the little piece. I do not use one. I do not have one. The flash itself, it's not the best one, but I mean, if you're shooting in low light, this camera definitely works without a flash, which is very nice. Even if you kind of have shaky hands, you can still get a really nice picture out of it, and you will be nicely on your way. Other specs about this camera. It's kind of an upside, kind of a downside. It runs on 4 AA batteries. It takes a lot of these to make this camera work efficiently. I go through probably a pack of these every 3 days, and I have all of these old batteries that sometimes I use, sometimes I don't. I have noticed it may be just because I ended up water damaging my camera that I cannot use rechargeables, which is very inconvenient because using rechargeable batteries is a very economic way to save yourself some money and just waste a whole lot less. But unfortunately, it does not work as much as I wish it did, and I cannot find my batteries, so whatever. But I'm not sure if that might just be because I damaged my camera earlier or not, so definitely try your hand with rechargeable batteries. This camera also uses just your typical SD card or SD high capacity if you would so like, and you just pop it in the slot right here and nicely on your way. The feel of this camera is extremely nice because it has the ergonomic feel and everything in the front, and the wheel right here you can change for exposures, as well as flipping through some of your pictures, such as when you go to playback, and if you don't want to wait all this time, you can just use your scrolly other way, and then if you do it again, it'll show you your folder view, which is extremely useful when you have a lot of photos to go through. Overall, I got this camera for Christmas last year, and I know that Pentax has released a new version, which is almost twice as expensive, but very, very nice. I love Pentax absolutely because I have a underwater camera, the W60 by them, and it's beautiful. It works very nicely. All of their stuff is beautifully made, and it's really durable because, you know, you go out in the rain with it and it's not going to be damaged. It is somewhat weather resistant. I believe they marketed it as. Water damage, you can obviously screw up your camera very badly. Lime Coke, I don't recommend doing that, but I did save myself going through the whole hassle because letting it dry out for 2 days, it ended up fixing itself, which is amazing. So, the amount of comments that I get when I bring this camera along are absolutely insane because nobody has ever seen a white camera before. They've seen black, they've seen silver, but they have not seen white. So people are definitely amazed, and if you carry this around, people will think it is the coolest thing around. This is the Pentax KX. It is about, I would say, 2 years old now. I've had it for almost a year. If I could, I would buy it all over again, and I would recommend that if you're wondering about getting this camera, if you're thinking about any other cameras, get this one. This one is beautiful. It will do exactly what any other camera does. The only difference is it's much cheaper, it looks much nicer than your typical black body, and you will be quite satisfied. This is just the body itself. So, thank you so much for viewing this. I'm Dakota. This is the Pentax KX, and I hope you take care.